Dandadan. Now, when it comes to Dandadan, what we'll be talking about today is just the show overall in general because I can't even lie to you guys. Dandadan is legitimately one of my favorite animes to watch, and with Momo and Okarun as the main two characters in the show, Dandadan has serious potential to be one of the best animes out there that anybody has ever watched. I'll say this. From my personal standpoint, this is my own personal opinion, I feel like Dandadan, the way Dandadan came out and everybody's been like underrating it, I think Dandadan is going to be the best anime to come out since Demon Slayer came out in 2019. Keep in mind, there's been a whole bunch of different animes that have come out since Demon Slayer. There's been Spy Family that's come out recently, but Spy Family's not in this. There's just something interesting about Dandadan and how each of the characters in the show have all their own unique personalities when it comes to this. Like you have Momo, who's like, she's spiritual but kind of like doesn't really like it, didn't really enjoy it as a kid up until she got kidnapped by aliens in the first episode of the show, and she was kind of only looking for one particular guy that was basically Ken Takakura. Then you had Okarun. He's a nice, like he's a weird guy, and ultimately they ended up meeting in one class when she saw that guys were bothering him, but Okarun was reading his books. Momo stood right in front of him and basically got into basically was standing up for him, and then they both dared each other. She dared him to go see if ghosts are real, and he dared her to go see if aliens are real. Okarun ended up losing his quote unquote balls, and Momo ended up getting kidnapped by aliens. In the first episode, there's a whole bunch of things that happen that just take you through a whole bunch of different emotions, and it's just overall a very good point in the show. And when Momo finally learns that she has spiritual powers, and then we see Okarun starting to deal with Turbo Granny, who I just want to say is probably one of the most funniest characters that we've had, especially when they find out, they eventually get her out of Okarun, and Okarun ends up keeping her powers, but she ends up being in a cat. And her as a cat is probably one of the most funniest things I've definitely ever seen when it comes to anime. And over the course of the first season, there's many things that happen. We see battles with aliens twice. We get to see Ira get introduced, and we see her get her powers. And it's just it's just a lot to happen. And for anybody that's really watching this, I would personally recommend the show to a lot of people because this is definitely one of the best animes I've ever seen. And currently, right now, as I'm watching, they just recently came out with the latest episode of season number 2, where they're dealing with the evil eye issue. And I don't want to say this. I don't know what it is about Dandadan animators, but they know how to do a character right. They did Evil Eye so perfectly, and I've been keeping up with the manga for Dandadan. And when they finally got to Evil Eye, I was just hoping that they were gonna do Evil Eye perfectly. And then they gave him that look of how he is right now, and I'm like, oof, oof. And then the final episode. The most recent episode, there's a big teaser that's going to be coming for the next episode between two different characters that are going to be facing off against each other, but we'll have to see it. Another big part of the reason why I like Dandadan when it comes to this is Momo and Okarun as, the whole romance thing together, because at the beginning they weren't really knowing each other. Okarun thought that Momo was just being nice to him, and then when they kind of had their experience together with the aliens, Okarun coming to save Momo, trying to save him, and then they have multiple incidents that they have to deal with. Them fighting a sumo ghost in the second episode, they kind of got closer together, and you can kind of see something's building towards there, because Okarun always had eyes for Momo, and Momo, even though she didn't want it, she kind of got really eyes for Okarun, especially when she found out his real name is Ken Takakura, the guy that she's been searching for and dating guys that have been looking like Ken Takakura. She finally found him in Okarun because that's his real name, Ken Takakura. So Momo's already kind of she's not really she's not at the point she's surprised that that's how he looks, even though she's seen she's read different stories about him. She's surprised that's how he actually looks. But still, Okarun and Momo end up developing such a good friendship together to the point where it grows to a relationship. And we have Ira coming in, and Momo can see that Ira is definitely into Okarun, but Okarun kind of just plays it off as being nice to Ira. Momo catches them, like working behind the thing. Okarun is trying to show off for Momo, like trying to show that he can be stronger for her to impress her. And Momo kind of got the wrong idea about that. Okarun ended up confessing to her that it was really nothing, that he was training to, impress her. And they kind of got into this, and it continues over into the course of season 2, where they have to go deal with Gigi, who was Momo's original first crush back when they were kids. And then we see that during the latest, I think it was episode 5 or 6, no, episode 4 or 5, we can kind of see, them trying to deal with the whole volcano and everything. And Momo's grandma ends up coming to help him out. But when Momo starts to realize that Okarun is possibly still down there after fighting Evil Eye and trying to go save Turbo Granny, she's worried out of her mind. She's trying to do everything, but ends up the aliens, one of the aliens that was originally against them, ends up helping him and picks up the lava and magma, and thankfully due down to the worm, the worm that they were battling in season 2, having the stickiness that protected them from the magma. She ends up hugging Okarun after finding out he's still alive, and we have a moment where she's crying in his arms, and you can truly see that Momo likes Okarun and she has feelings for Okarun. And like I said, Okarun has always had feelings for Momo, I believe, since the 2nd episode. I personally believe that as this story continues, and of course I'm reading the manga, they're not officially a couple yet, spoiler alert. I'm not really sure that's a spoiler alert, but it seems every indication that's going to be happening, and I'd be very surprised if it really doesn't. But in terms of all the stories, I completely even forgot to mention Momo's grandma, or Seiko, who is a very powerful character in general, and she rarely gets in her scenes, any scenes really. But when she does get her scenes, she's a very badass character when it comes to this. So Dandadan just has a whole bunch of great cast, great characters, great character development. You got Ira, you got Gigi, you got Momo, you got Okarun, you got Seiko, you got Turbo Granny, and there's a couple of characters that they're coming from the manga later up that's going to be possibly introduced in this season or possibly future seasons. Because at this current standpoint, they're not even close. They're not even anywhere close to where they are in the manga. So Dandadan is going to keep producing seasons after seasons, and I can see Dandadan having the same level of seasons as My Hero Academia currently has, because My Hero Academia is coming out with this 8th and final season, and Dandadan's only on his 2nd season. And the final talking point I want to say to this, one of the reasons why I feel like a lot of people love Dandadan is also due down to the theme song. The theme song for Dandadan Season 1 was by far one of the best theme songs I've ever heard, and the fact that Creepy Nuts, the same people that make the intro for Mashile opening for the Bring Bum song, is just super fantastic. And in general, overall, I gotta say this, if I were to put Dandadan on a show level as of this current standpoint, because there's a lot of great arcs coming around the future seasons for Dandadan, but at this current standpoint, if I were to put Dandadan on a rating from 1 to 10, I'd probably give Dandadan at least an 8.8, because it's that fucking good, and the characters are good, and it just has everything perfect when it comes to this. So yeah, if you guys want an anime and want a good story development that's gonna take time but still will show a lot of things happening over the course of the season, go watch Dandadan.